Blessings, peace, and blessings. Glory, glory to the eternal, forever living God. Let God's mercy guide you in this day. Let God's grace lift you up. Let God's blessings overflow you in your life. Let God protection knock down all your enemies in this day. Glory, glory to the eternal, forever living God. Now, it's your brother Jehoshaphat Israel early this morning time. Peace and blessings to you. The question that hit me really hard this morning time, and I don't know if it hit me hard or I just got tired of it. You know what I'm saying? I just got tired of it. Maybe later on today I will get more in depth inside of the topic itself. But I wanna like glaze across of it. I want to fly across of it real quickly this morning time. Who built America? Now, if you tell somebody who's been living here for generation after generation and century after century, it'd be easy for me to tell you that. But as I look at people who come into this country, that's the first thing that they say. Immigrants, immigrants built America. Is this true? You know what I'm saying? Is that true? I don't think so, family. From what I do understand about history, the influx of anybody, Europeans, people from Asia, people from Latin America, the influx of any foreign person didn't start until like 1910, 1920. And if that, okay, that's common knowledge through Ellis Isles. We know this, you know what I'm saying? It was only black and white and the red Indians in this country for hundreds of years. So if it was only three types of people in this country, why is it that immigrant people feel that they can just claim this whole nation like that they can claim all the hard work, they can claim the foundation, they can claim every single thing about this country? And to me, that's disrespectful, because if you wasn't here laying down the foundation, how can you claim something? That'd be like you building a whole house. You go to a plot of land, there's nothing there. There's some trees, there's some grass, a little water, a little wildlife. That's about it. And then you take it upon yourself to build up a whole house for yourself, and then a whole city. And then when it's all said, it's all done, then somebody comes along and, let's say, on one of the houses, you needed help to restore the house. One of the gates fell down. You need some help to put the gate back up, but it was a gate there previous to that person getting there. So that's how I look at the immigrant people when they say, oh, we built America. When did you build it? Did you build it in the 16th? When the first settlers, when the pilgrims came over here to Jamestown in 1619, they couldn't even survive by themselves. They had to flee, they had to tuck their tail and run. It was only through the introduction of African slaves was they able to thrive in this country, to start anything. So as I look at the influx and the pouring in of immigrants from around the whole world in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920 till present day, you can't claim something that was already there. Just like with an analogy with the person building the house, that person sit up there and built that house without your help. Just because something came along and you helped with the plumbing later, that's not building a house. Some came along with the electric parts in the house, and you helped that person fix their house. You didn't build that damn house. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to look at it for a little bit with the little bit of time that I do have this morning time. Glory, glory to the eternal, forever living God.
But was America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers.
That's not an immigrant.
Yeah. Okay.
An
Well, that's not my
immigrant
point. My point is that
just
people
brought up the nation built by immigrants.
Yeah,
We're actually not.
because the political leaders have said that this place is built.
Yeah, and they're
from
wrong. But was America
Created equal, beautiful words. But at the exact moment those words were written, 700,000 human beings were in chains on American soil, owned by Americans. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a footnote. Slavery was the economy. Cotton picked by enslaved hands, built the banks of New York, funded the mansions of Virginia, clothed the mills of Massachusetts. The men who wrote about freedom, Jefferson, Madison, Washington owned the people they refused to free. A mother could be sold away from her child on a Tuesday morning, and that was perfectly legal for 246 years. Then, in 1860, one man threatened to end it. Abraham Lincoln won the presidency. He didn't even appear on the ballot. In 10 southern states, they didn't wait to see what he'd do. Within months, 11 states declared war on their own country, not for honor, not for heritage. Their own secession documents say it plainly. Our position is thoroughly identified with the institution of slavery. That's not an interpretation. That's a quote. What followed was the deadliest war in American history. 620,000 soldiers dead. More American deaths than World War I and II combined. Brother against brother, fields soaked.
So let me stop right here. You can actually say that slavery built this country. You can honestly say, you could as you look at history and you look at historical facts, without money, you know what I'm saying, the foundation of this country would never been laid. They would never have money to be able to thrive in America. If they didn't have money, they couldn't build the infrastructure. And it took the slaves, my aunts, my forefathers, I can't even call them slaves, my grandparents, my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandmother, going to chattel slavery and having all the black wealth extracted out of the black communities to build America. That is what built America. The extraction of black wealth.
In the blood of a nation that couldn't agree on whether a man could own another man. The war ended in 1865. America is still answering it.
146 years, the system that built America. The story of America is inextricably linked to a 246-year era that reshaped the globe. It began in 1619, when the first enslaved Africans arrived at Point Comfort, Virginia. What followed was the construction of an economic powerhouse built on human bondage. By 1860, the United States held nearly 4 million enslaved people, whose labor produced 80% of the world's cotton. This white gold didn't just fund plantations, it fueled the global textile industry and built the financial foundations of modern Wall Street. Yet, behind the staggering economic statistics lies the real story, the human soul. Beyond the ledger books of historians, we find a narrative of unbreakable resilience. It is a story of families torn apart at auction blocks who still found ways to love, of daily resistance through song, faith, and literacy, and of a cultural preservation that survived the Middle Passage. To understand the United States today, we must look at this 246-year foundation with clear eyes. We honor the complexity of the journey, the deep trauma of the system, and the monumental triumph of a people who refused to be broken.
So let's recap. For 250 years, you had the same extraction of black wealth and black labor being used to build the foundation. It took 250 years to extract black wealth and black labor, black bodies, to lay down the foundation of the United States of America. So before any immigrants come up here and say anything, what did you add to the foundation? And from the historical papers that we just went through right now, it showed you all of that, and y'all was no way apart on it. Now, if you want to say that you came and you added to America, that's different. If you want to say that you added greatness to America, then that would be true. But far as in the foundation of America, that would be false. That would be a lie. You know what I'm saying? You would be just lying to people, and you would be spreading lies, because if you wasn't part of that 250-year foundation, that's the foundation of all America. It would not stand without that foundation. It took those elements to come together throughout history to build this nation of what it is. But if you want to say you added to the greatness of something that was already there, then you can say that. You can lay a claim on that. Anything outside of that fact would be a lie.
going around of Donald Trump talking about how great American innovation is, and everything that he named that America invented, it was a black person that invented it.
This is a nation that invented the light bulb, the telegraph, the television, the telephone, the computer chip, the smartphone, the GPS, the integrated circuit, and even the internet. Basically, we invented everything. What is left? We invented everything.
Bro, like,
Stop. Black people invented everything. You know what I'm saying? You can't even put that on anybody else in this country.
people did all that. We innovate and create everything. And so it's just par for the course of what happens with black innovation. I'm big on protecting your IP, but a lot of times you're just creating, and you want to be creative.
The sad thing is, the immigrant people who said that they founded the country, they're not even big on innovations. They're not. You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't even take the things that we already had and add it to it. So if you say, I'm sitting here saying you could say you added to the greatness of America, but you really didn't, because y'all not big on innovations. Y'all didn't invent anything and added to it. You know what I'm saying? It's just labor, cheap labor. That's what you can basically say. You came over here and you gave America cheap labor.
But I think this is just another version of what happens when black people make something. When it comes to rock and roll music, we've invented the ice cream scoop, ice cream, the alarm.
We did invent ice cream. I found that out like a couple of
The
years ago.
alarm system, macaroni and cheese,
Plasma.
plasma, the hot cone. There's a list of so many inventions and creations by black people.
What is left? We invented everything. Americans built this nation. We built this nation.
Hold up, let's say it again so people won't forget.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation.
I don't think they heard.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation.
One more time for historical records.
African Americans built this nation.
One more time for the immigrants that don't listen.
African Americans built this nation.
One more time for anybody who don't know history.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first.
We still waiting on that. We've been fighting for that ever since we got people don't understand with the reparations movement. As soon as we got out of slavery and we was promised 40 acres and a mule, we've been fighting for that. We've been fighting for slavery for as long as we've been free. As long as my people been liberated, we've been fighting for what is ours. So when we sit up here and we say that we've been fighting for 160 years for reparations, we're not lying to you. As long as we've been free, we've been fighting for reparations.
My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. And our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.